Now we move on to solving multi-step equations. So we've done this already. For example, this one has multiplication and subtraction in it. So we do the opposite. We add 7 to both sides. 3x is less than 15. Divide 3 from both sides. X is less than 5. Let's check to make sure. Something less than 5 would be 0. So that's less than 5. So does 3 times 0 minus 7 come out to less than 8? So negative 7 less than question mark, 8. Yes, it is. So it looks like we did it right. This is our answer. And if we're going to graph, that's the simple 5. Don't fill in the circle. Now, anything we should remember? I hope so. Just did this very recently. Distribute negative 0.6x. Negative negative is going to be a positive. 5 times 0.6 is 3. Less than or equal to 15. Subtract 3 from both sides. Negative 0.6x less than or equal to 12. Divide by negative 0.6. We're dividing by a negative, so the sign gets flipped. We will get negative 20. Graph it. X is greater than or equal to negative 20. So we put a circle, and it's greater, so it's to the right, and it's greater than or equal, so we fill in the dot. Watch out for the negatives. So now I've given you some slightly challenging problems. We don't have to worry about graphing them. Let's see what we can do with these. So negative 1/4 distribute. Negative 1/4 p plus negative times the negative is positive. 12 over 4 is 3. Greater than negative 2. And subtract 3 from both sides. And multiply by the reciprocal. Cancel, cancel, cancel. P is multiplied by a negative, so flip the sign. These will cancel. Positive 20. Not a big problem. And parentheses, let's get rid of them. 5m plus 25 less than 5m plus 17. Move the 5m over here. Move the 25 over there. These cancel. These actually cancel too, so we end up with 0 less than negative 8. Is 0 less than negative 8? No, therefore there are no solutions. You have to stop and be a little bit intelligent here and say, is that possible? Is 0 less than negative 8? No, it's not, so there's no solutions. If we had 0 less than 2, we would say yes, that's correct, all solutions. So again, distribute. Let's move the numbers over. Minus 1 plus 8s. And everything cancels again. 0 less than or equal to negative 5. Is 0 less than or equal to negative 5? No. So the answer is no solutions. And that is it. Make sure you're careful. If the variable cancels out, think about it for a minute. Sometimes it'll cancel, sometimes it won't. This lesson is on solving compound inequalities. So what's a compound inequality? Well, there's two of them. The first one will look like this, where it's basically bracketed. There's a number that is greater than negative 2 but less than 5. So we write it once instead of writing it twice. We could write it as x is greater than negative 2 and x is less than 5. but we don't want to do that. It's easier to write it just the once. The other compound inequality actually has two components. It would say x is less than -2 and x is greater than, and it could be equal, so we'll just throw that in 5. And it says or in between. So you got to watch out for that. And graphically, the first one, we do the middle, -2 to 5. So we have a circle here, and it's inside. That's an and when you're reading a sentence. And the other one, as we said already, is an or. Goes from -2 to 5, except it's not the inside. X is greater than or equal to -5. So fill in the dot. X is less than -2. And that's how we do it. So let's translate one. Now it's a giveaway now that you know the and or. So this is going to be all real numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 3. And don't forget to graph it. There you go. Here's the other one. We've got the or in there. So all real numbers that are less than 0 or greater than or equal to 2. Now, we've got two ors, so notice I italicized that one. I'll try and do that on a regular basis, otherwise it's a little too confusing, as I said. Less than 0, x is less than 0, or x is greater than or equal to 2. So again, since it's an or statement, it's going to be on opposite sides of the line. So less than 0 goes this way, greater than or equal to 2 goes this way. There you go. And one more, greater than or equal to -3, and should be in italics, will be on a test. Less than 5, so we know it's going to be -3, greater than or equal to x. Is x greater than or equal to -3? Yes, we get it right. Less than 5. There we go. So, how do we solve it? It's actually extremely easy. You could break it into two pieces. Do that part here and that part here. See if they work out. Part 1 and part 2. But I don't recommend that. It's just so much easier to do it this way. Find the part with the variable. So that's the part with the variable, and isolate it. So get it alone. Subtract 5 from all, and this is going to cancel. This will get me -3 is less than x is less than 4. Graph it. -3, 4. There it is. So try another one. Now we got to watch out. Looks like a negative will pop up. +3. Got to do it 3 times now. And watch your negatives and be careful with all that. Divide by -1. We all know what happens when we divide or multiply by a negative. 2 is greater than or equal to x, greater than or equal to -5. I will rewrite this just because I prefer it that way. Now when I graph it, got 2 filled in dots. There we go. So this is an or one in italics again, so we just break it into 2. We solve each one separately. We know that when we graph it, we're going to get one of these on either side. Well, let's see. We should. So solve. So x is less than 3, or x is greater than 6. 6, 3, greater than 6, less than 3. That's about it. So get cracking. Use these notes as a reference. Not too hard.